And you're like, whew. And that literally, he's like, come with me.
He's in the room, he's just looking at me. I feel guilty. Hi, welcome back to My Cup of TV with Jenny,
JD,
Erin,
and Kat.
has someone got something minty?
chewing gum.
Oh, okay. Is this bra chewing gum?
Yeah.
Talking about earlier.
Save it in my hidden place. Yep.
I've got no
Save
idea.
it. We're talking about like in the packet, not like chew it.
No.
Under the table.
It's just like, you got no pockets. What do? You got your packet of gum. I'm sorry, I'm not meaning to be rude. I'm just chewing for be minty fresh.
They can't smell it.
Well, no, I don't want them to think that, like, it could be irritating if you see somebody on the screen chewing and you're like, that's really rude or that's off-putting.
Like
Yeah,
Erin
I didn't mean for that.
months of these videos.
Yeah, that's why I stopped with the chewing gum.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Because I'm not actually planning to chew it. I've just grossly tucked it behind my tooth, so it's now just a breath mint.
I wish I'd never asked. Okay, so BTS.
Yes.
We're going to take a brief interlude to calm down.
Yeah, have you guys recovered from the MMA performance?
Yeah, I needed time.
I'm glad we watched it again.
Yeah, just to
It's how you
bring it down.
like you conquer a fear by showing your to whatever the calming down action of that is.
A bit like how I say, if I married Suga, JK and I are going to have to work things out before then. And Jimin, that
So
should get
conquering
solved
your
as well.
fear, is it?
Yeah. But you know what? The others might sneak in, so I might just need to deal.
No fear of commitment there, Jenny, at all.
Do you know what? That's the thing. If you said to me you can marry one member of BTS, but that means you can never go near any of the others. As much as I love Suga, I'd then be like, but I don't want to give up the others.
Yeah.
And just keep my options
I'm
open.
about to keep my right to be greedy.
Look, they're all really close. They'd be totally fine with it. That's what I tell myself.
Jenny's formed a little harem. Is it harem?
Harem.
I can never say it. Harem? Harem?
What are you trying to say?
Harem. That's what they say in
Harem.
in
Hamilton.
Hamilton.
You know, like when a guy has like a whole group of women.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's called harem.
What would you call it? What would you call it if it's a woman with a group of men
There is a
that all
saying
belong
like
to
that.
her?
Awesome.
Oh,
Don't say ho.
You could have what are they called?
Cat's gonna Google it.
The men they always call them. They have women that are called like their
Polygamists?
concubines.
Concubine. But is it polygamy? Polygamist?
I don't think she's marrying them all. I think
Oh, so
basically
polygamist
she's
is if you marry
she's
them.
like the one for all of them, but they're her
Like a
only
dictator,
one.
but in relationships, not of a country.
Cult.
Cult. My cult.
There you go.
Okay, so we should spin the wheel before we say anything else.
Yeah, let's go, guys.
Yeah.
Ready?
You're just not in time with us, Erin.
It's because I have to watch to wait for you to do it, so I'm looking this way to then.
I don't think that's an excuse because Jenny and JD are pretty in sync.
Because they're the same person. It's hard to work with clones.
Toby overall.
Don't. Yes! Luckily in this BTS house today, mystery.
Look at
factory.
me. I'm chilled. I'm calm.
You won't be in a minute.
Sure.
Because mystery fact check fairy cat spun sugar.
And
So-
revealed her arm again.
Yes. Ooh.
Okay, I've
Sorry.
stayed calm long enough. Can we get to sugar?
Yeah. Okay. So,
So
Cat-
is his nose in this one?
yeah. No. Everything. There's
Yeah,
just a black hole
blurred
there.
it.
Yeah.
I blurred it just to
So
tease me.
we
No, I'm
are.
Voldemort. Why would you do that to me?
No.
The other man in my life.
Well, Kat and I were talking, and Sugar has obviously got quite a few other solo tracks because he's got his work as August D. But we are going to go back to his solos as with BTS. We're going to go back to their Map of the Soul Persona album. We're going to go for Shadow. So Shadow was in the Map of the Soul Persona. Obviously, RM did Persona. Sugar does Shadow, and then J-Hope does Ego, which we haven't watched yet either. And we were talking about how it was all based around the philosopher Carl Jung, his theory about having the self, and it's made up of your shadow, your ego, and your persona. So the shadow is the parts of the self that we don't like about ourselves, and we want to hide them. We're afraid to show them and to face them because. Nobody wants to face the things that they don't like.
Yeah.
They don't like about themselves, things like that. But this song's actually really cool because it's a little bit deeper in with Sugar. He's spoken before about how when they first started, they were all really, really hungry and they were working their asses off. But as they actually started to make traction and win awards and get more successful, he said that he never actually their goal at the beginning was never to be famous. For him personally, he wanted to make music, and he thought he was going to be an idol if he could get successful at it for maybe a couple of years, and then maybe a job after that would be as a producer. He didn't foresee having this long career as a global superstar. And a lot of the time they have talked about how much they enjoy it, they love it, they never thought they could have like global concerts and it's amazing. But on the flip side of that, Suga puts a lot of his thoughts into his music, as they all do, about anxiety and depression and worrying and his fear about as they climbed higher, his anxiety got worse because the higher you climb, the further you have to fall and it'll be more painful. And it's almost like as you're climbing towards the sun, your shadow gets bigger. And so it's all that sort of metaphor in there. So this song is all revolved around that, which I think is kind of sad, but I also think it's really brave and really awesome that he is
very vulnerable,
putting that out there. Yeah. So because again, they talk about things that a lot of people are afraid to talk about or to admit, and
well, mental health in particular is a hard thing for people to admit to themselves, let alone to publicly say.
Yeah.
And men in particular. I know in the West, male suicide rates are ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because there's always been that men don't talk about feelings attitude.
Yeah, more of a stigma, if it were, which is it's just not right either way.
I think it's just amazing that they will talk about it, and especially, that's going to be Suga. He's going to talk about something that's very, very vulnerable, but in a very cool, manly, relatable way.
And I think that's really important because people will look at this and go, oh, I that have this preconceived notion of I'm going to look like X, Y, Z if I talk about my feelings, but you look at him and you're like, he's expressing himself and yet he looks so good doing it, and this massive amount of respect.
It's about looking weak, because I've had anxiety and depression. It's about looking weak. And I think the problem with all mental illnesses is that they're not visible. And because you find ways of dealing with things and hiding things. So I know a lot of people might watch this video and think, she doesn't have anxiety or anything. Look, she's very bubbly, very out there, whatever. But everyone can have that hidden behind things and has different ways of dealing with it.
Yeah.
We don't see it as like, sometimes maybe the build up before or after, or even just silly things when you think, oh my god, did I say something really, really stupid? And it plays and it plays and plays. And that's just little bits, and that's just maybe like me and us.
Well, luckily I'm at a point in my life where I'm quite comfortable making mistakes and talking about things and everything. But I can remember a time when I wasn't, when everything was you don't do things because you're scared of messing it up.
Yeah. So and that's only on our scale. So if you can imagine, his. And Sugar's talked about previously about when they started getting attention from America and their popularity there grew massively, they were terrified. And they have like Big Brother type figures in the music industry that they could ask for advice, but nobody had ever broken the West. So when they were doing it, they were so excited, but at the same time they were terrified. They had nobody that they could ask about it, and nobody that they could say, oh, like, how was your experience of this, or how did you do this? Completely different language, different customs, everything. So
there must be so much fear in what if we do something wrong. Like if we were to go to South Korea, we could wear something that's considered shocking, or we could say something that's considered rude, or even just using the wrong honorifics. Everyone would be thinking rude girls, whereas you're thinking, oh my god.
Yeah, for them, they were, and they take it so seriously, and they're so proud of it, and they're so humble in that the massive weight they feel of representing their country. So on a global stage, so they were terrified, and I just really feel for them when you think back of that. You're like, oh, that's so sad.
They're still young.
Yes, yeah. So there was a massive amount of pressure for them.
Is it like hard hitting or emotional? Or
both.
I don't know if that was a hiccup or a gasp of shock when I said hard hitting.
Yeah. Ironically enough, you just said, is it hard hitting or emotional? I think it's both. Because if you think what we've just spoken about, how you put that in a song, in Sugar's style, but with the meaning under it, that's going to hit hard, but it's going to hit hard emotionally as well. So I personally think both.
Okay.
go.
Please remember to like, comment and subscribe. And if you head over to Patreon, we are 4 videos ahead and have exclusives of currently the Gaios.
Do dance practices as well.
Yeah.
Dance practices are exclusive. We've got more on the list.
So Gaia will be followed by what, BTS Run?
Yeah. We don't have to watch them in order if you don't want to, but in order, obviously, if you want to watch them in that, then In the Soup is the most recent one.
I feel like watching them in order makes sense because I'm
Yeah,
assuming they
it
have
does.
in-jokes that
Absolutely.
come from stuff that's happened.
Exactly, yeah. So the first Bon Voyage was when they go to a couple of countries in Europe. So they go to like Finland and Norway.
We
So
go to Finland and Norway.
yeah. So if we start first, then it's going to be the first season of Bon Voyage.
Okay.
There's lots of series that we need
All
to
of it.
show you, basically. We just need to live together so we can get through it all.
If we lived with BTS, we wouldn't need to. We could just watch them every day.
I'd be like, today on In the Soup.
Yeah.
You're doing filter.
I really want to go to the aquarium every time I hear that. I feel like Jenny's gonna cry.
Love that bit.
It's like dragging me back down.
The beat switch up.
That must be what it is like walking through a crowd.
Another really short one.
Yeah, the comeback trailers are not always really, really long, unfortunately. But also time flies, even if they are, time flies when you're having fun. So, yeah, what did you think of that?
I love how they've done the video with all the shadows chasing him.
Yeah, lots of symbolism in there, and you can, again, it's open for interpretation.
And the kind of the overwhelming of all the cameras and the flashing and all of that sensory overload.
Yeah, and it's weird, you know, the bit like when he's down in the crowd and he's looking up. It's almost like, is he looking up at himself?
Yeah, it's almost like that. You want something, but you also fear it.
Yeah.
So that's almost him looking up at what he wants, but he's scared to go and get it.
Or is it that separation? Is it the two yous? That's you there, but you're also just you, the normal person, because he says, you are me and I am you.
That's it.
And it's like two people or two sides that share in the same.
Nobody
same
is just one thing, and yet the version of him up there is getting all the attention, and yet the other version of himself is just quietly in the background because he's like, I'm more than just that, but nobody really knows.
Yeah.
So.
And the bits that he says at the beginning, where he's in, it's like a hotel corridor or something, where he's like, I want to be this, I want to be this, and then towards the end of the song, that's him on stage still saying, I want to be this.
But it also,
and it's almost like the him that was in the hotel was looking up.
He was saying, I want to be a rap star, I want to be king, all of that. And then when he did that again, he ended it with, I want to be me.
Yeah.
I don't remember if he did that in the first bit.
I don't think
or whether that was like a progression.
Because then that's when the I am you and you are me kind of bit came in as well after that. You see it with like celebrities. For some reason, always Kim Kardashian that comes to mind. But when they're walking through crowds and they have to have these security because there's people and the cameras and what he's like, God, how frightening actually must that be? I don't like being in a crowd anyway, but imagine the crowds coming in to you. That must be so frightening.
And Suga is someone that that does suffer from anxiety and depression in the past, and so he talks about that in his music. So even more so, that's why I think he puts that in his music, and he does talk about it, I think, a little bit more than the others, perhaps.
I think that's why he was drawn to doing Shadow out of the three options.
Yeah, I reckon so.
And also, a shadow, if you're a shadow, no one can, well, you can't really be seen. So that was him, like, when it was still and he was moving through that crowd. Is that almost sometimes what he'd like to be?
Probably.
To be able to just quietly move through things.
Yeah. It seems to be a double-edged sword, doesn't it? Because he was saying, like, I want all of this, and then he said how nobody told me how lonely it is at the top, because it's at the beginning, that's all he wanted, but then near the end he was actually looking up at it and being like, do I still want that? And I don't blame them. I would not expect BTS to be like, no, I love every aspect of this, because I don't think anybody can say that about their life. And I absolutely ARMY know that it doesn't come from a place that they're not grateful, they don't love certain bits, but they have absolutely sacrificed other bits to do what they do. So I don't feel like that song comes from a place of like ingratitude or anything like that. I just think he's being real, and he's saying, these are my struggles now. Those are my struggles at the beginning when I wanted it all and I didn't have it. Now I do have everything I wanted, but it's not necessarily as great as I thought it was, and there's other things that have developed.
I think you can relate that to any kind of area of life, though.
Yeah.
Say you put everything you want because you want a career, and you have to put everything into it, and then you maybe sacrifice
relationships,
or you put everything into building a relationship, a family, and a home, and then you don't feel like you have that individuality.
And because a relationship can end, your kids grow up and leave, and then you're, what do I have now?
Yeah.
Everyone in their life will have something that they've achieved that they've had to sacrifice something else for.
And is that your shadow of your dream following you around and for them, maybe because they got their dream, the thing that follows them around is just their bit of life.
Yeah.
Well, you're always also going to want what you can't have. So, do you know what I mean? They, as much as they've got all these stuff that they wanted, there will be things that they want that they can't have. I mean, very much for me being relationships that, or like say just going down the street.
But
whenever
vice
you feel
versa,
like it.
if they were able to do that because they didn't succeed in their career, they'd still want to succeed in their career. So
exactly.
And I suppose at the beginning of your career, you're so desperate to succeed and do the thing you love. Do you ever think that you're actually going to make it? So do you ever really consider what that would be like?
It's just a massive gamble, I think, for anybody in any, many careers, but especially many creative careers like actors and singers and things like that. It's so, there is no security in it.
Yeah.
So, anybody could argue that any sort of security is an illusion anyway, because nothing is ever set. Everything could change in an instant.
You're going to send me spiralling in a minute.
Why?
There's no, just the philosophy.
Nothing's safe, Erin.
There was no security, everything come crumbling down in one moment. I'm like,
sorry.
Well, I think that's why you can plan for your future, but you still need to live now, because like you said, people that plan their whole life around a relationship that then doesn't work out.
There was something that I saw on Instagram, I can't remember who the quote was, but they said you're worrying about the future, but you're currently living in the future that you were previously worrying about.
Yeah.
You're worrying about the future at the expense of your present kind of thing.
To...
Yeah.
I was thinking there's a quote along these lines, and it's Dumbledore.
What does he say?
It's something about don't dwell on dreams and forget to live. It's something along those lines. And it annoys me that I can't remember the exact quote because, Harry Potter.
Oh yeah,
it doesn't do to dwell on dreams and forget to live.
Yeah, because people just get lost in that, don't they? It was like people standing in front of that mirror, showing them what they want. It's like if you do that, then
I have one.
I have that one. Well,
funnily enough, now it shows her
me
Suga.
surrounded by BTS and my cult.
Where he said that bit about I am you and you are me, and the bit at the end with the two versions of himself, it's like that's him and then that's his shadow. But they are part of the same person. Do you know what I mean? You can't be without it. So
unless you're Peter Pan.
Yeah, unless you can literally.
But again, it comes with that whole idea of suppressing or hiding the parts of yourself you don't like, but it's still there because, like you say, a shadow is connected. You can't escape it. It's always going to be there, even if you're keeping it.
Yeah.
If you ignore it, it's going to just grow bigger and bigger, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's it. It's not ignoring it so that it festers and it becomes toxic and poisonous, but if you're at least aware of it and kind of working on whatever it may be, and that links in with their journey of the Love Yourself series that came before it.
Acceptance.
Things like that. And you're never going to be perhaps what your own perception of perfection is. Like, no one's ever going to be perfect, but that's okay. Like, as everyone's going to have flaws and things that we don't like about ourselves we're going to work on.
And
but as long as those things don't drown you.
What you see as a flaw isn't always a flaw.
No, to somebody else. No.
Yeah, I think pure love is when something that you really don't like about yourself and someone comes and goes, oh, that's my favourite bit of you.
Like Sugar's nose.
That song was all about his nose.
Yeah,
it's just like, I can't do it.
So one day he's going to say, oh, it's always been a bit self-conscious of my nose, and I'm like, oh me, I love it.
And I also like the melody of that song as well. Obviously, you do hear a bit more of him singing in that. The chorus was singing, and it's just so sad, isn't it? And he's saying like, now I'm afraid, so don't let me shine, don't let me fly. Like, don't fly too close to the sun because I'm afraid now. But by that point, it's already too late because he's already this global superstar. And so I imagine that there's days where they're just like, no, I don't want to go through with my schedule for today. I just want to stay small. Do you know what I mean? But yet, can't do that.
It must be terrifying to not know where the exit is, because you don't want to find it, because you don't want to end, but you always want to know, if you need to, how you're going to do it.
But then again, it's another time when you think, isn't it great that they have each other?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so nice about them being 7 as well. So in a pairing or in a couple, you're putting it on each other. So you've got your load and theirs, whereas between 7 of them, do you know what I mean?
There's enough of them to share.
Yeah.
Yeah. And luckily as well, because all of their personalities are actually quite different. And in the beginning, they all didn't think that it would work because they're all quite different. And they were like, this is just like the worst group of people you could get. But actually it worked really well because of their differences. So yeah, that's probably, like you're saying, good to have more of them to share that load.
And again, when you're looking at something like the celebrity of it and you're worried about failing or letting people down, to have other people there that you need to fight for as well. Do you know what I mean? You're thinking, oh, what if I go there and I do it wrong and let myself down? You're like, but if I don't go, I'm going to let them down. Yeah. So, you know. They
have said numerous occasions actually where they all help each other, they all lift each other up, and they're doing it, and then they think of the team. They're very much all about the team rather than themselves, which I think is probably a really big motivator. Yeah.
So that was, I was going to say August D, it's not. That was Sugar. No, it's not. It's not Persona. That was Sugar Shadow. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.